Hi everyone, Jus4SweetZ here. I'm back. It's fall. I want to make something really yummy and pumpkin is in the air. Pumpkin is one of my most favorite things to have this time of year, as far as pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin bread, pumpkin pie, all that great stuff. So I am going to take a pumpkin pancake mix and I'm going to turn it into some scones. I'm going to take these to work and treat the girls, and I want to show you what I did to create these scones. They're delicious, they smell good, your house smells like cinnamon and vanilla and all these delicious flavors. So it's just a pancake mix that you can get from the store and a few fresh ingredients. Let me have my tongue twister there. And it's simple to do, doesn't take that much time, so let's get going making those. Okay, to get these scones started, we're starting with one package of Krusty's pumpkin pancake mix. This has some pecans in it. They're really chopped up fine, but this is approximately 2 cups of pancake mix, so you can substitute it for a different brand if you like. I'm using Krusty's. We also have one half cup of flour. We have a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. We have a half a cup of heavy cream mixed with a 1/4 cup of water in this dish right here. 1 egg slightly beaten. And then I have some Granny Smith apples. It's 1 apple that I diced up and I coated it in pumpkin pie spice and brown sugar. And you can just kind of eye it. I would say it was approximately 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and maybe a teaspoon or so of the pumpkin pie spice, just depending on your taste buds. So we have a dish ready to go. We're going to get these ingredients into the bowl and we're going to start mixing. We're going to start by putting the ingredients in this bowl. Now, you do want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And I also forgot one ingredient, which is a very important ingredient. I have 1 stick of butter. I'm using unsalted butter. You can use either or. And I have it cut and cubed, and I have it in the refrigerator because you want it to stay nice and cold. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to mix all these ingredients in here. Just like that. I'm going to leave the apples out for a second. I'm going to start mixing this. And I'm just going to use a fork. I find that easier for me at the beginning. So we're just going to stir these, or stir this, I should say. I love this. I love cones. I can't even talk. It's been so long since I've made a video. I love scones, and in the fall, pumpkin spice just seems to be the perfect one. So I'm slowly mixing in the cream and water mixture that I have. And if you don't want to use apples, you can make these plain. You can omit the apples altogether. You can substitute them for raisins. You could substitute them for chocolate chips. Whatever you want to mix with your pumpkin. You could also substitute it with bacon if you want to. That'd be really good. Add a little bit of maple syrup to these. Be delicious. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, get this off of here. Now I want to get to the point where I'm adding the cold butter, and I'm going to use a pastry blender. This is what my pastry blender looks like. I'm going to get my cold butter here. And you can see that I have it all cubed up and it's nice and cold. That's just the way you want it. It helps bind that dough together. And you're just going to slowly incorporate with the pastry mixer, pastry blender, whatever you want to call it, the cold butter into this mix. You don't want to overwork it, but you just want to get it mixed enough to where it starts binding everything together. Now I have it about halfway mixed, and I just keep cleaning my pastry blender off here. And I'm just going to mix a little bit more. You don't want to over mix it because you don't want your scones to be tough. You want them to be nice and flaky. So those little pieces of butter that you leave in there are going to help with that. But you also have to take into, I don't know what word I'm looking for. You have to add the apples is basically what I'm trying to say. I really need to get into doing some more videos so I can talk clearer. Been one hectic couple months for me. Okay, so we've got those in here. I'd also like to give a shout out to Laura Vitale. I did see her on the Today Show. I've seen her on The Kitchen, on Food Network. And now I see that she has her own cooking show. I think that's awesome. So way to go, Laura. I think that's every food YouTuber's dream. That's really great. Okay, so we got that in there. Let's go ahead and add those apples. And I want to get all that good pumpkin pie spice. I'm going to use my hands. It's going to get messy, but that's okay. Then I guarantee that I'm not over mixing. Just make sure your hands are nice and clean. So I've got those apples mixed in there. I think that's good enough. I'm going to go wash my hands. And we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to get these scones ready to go for the oven. Now these scones are going to have a vanilla bean icing over the top. You can make a cream cheese icing if you like. I'm just going to make it pretty simple. I guess I should have taken my rings off. Make it pretty simple. So just vanilla bean. You could also just dust them with powdered sugar if you like. You could make a maple glaze, whatever you want to do. You can be creative. All right, so I will be right back to do this. Okay, so now we have a nice floured surface, and we are going to take our mix here, and I'm just going to scoop that right onto the flour. Get all that out of there. Scones are very easy on their own anyway, but this is probably a super easy recipe. I got my Krusty's pumpkin pancake mix at Costco. So you can find it there, find it at your grocery store. So I'm going to just kind of coat these a little bit and knead it together. Just so I can form it without it being too sticky. And you don't even need a rolling pin with these. That's what's so nice. And if you don't overwork the dough, they come out nice and flaky. Solid but flaky. They're absolutely delicious. Okay, so I just kind of cut it into a circle. I form it into a circle. I don't cut it into a circle. And just kind of press it down. And I like to have my scones a little bit on the thicker side. And I just keep forming that circle until I get it to the thickness that I desire. I have about a ½ inch of thickness to an inch. And all you're going to do, I just kind of pat some flour on top of it so I can keep my hands from sticking any more than they already do. Now you can take either a knife or a pastry, or not a pastry, a pizza cutter. So I'm going to grab a pizza cutter. I think I have one clean right here. Where's that? Didn't get my ducks in a row. Here it is. Okay. And all you're going to do is cut it like you would a pie. We're going to cut it into 8 pieces. So I cut it down that way one time. Cut it in half again this way. Then I go ahead and we cut it into quarters. We're going to get that pan prepped. Our oven's ready to go, and we're going to get these scones going. All right, so I went ahead and took the sliced pieces and I put them on a greased baking sheet. I'm using a baking stone. You can use a cookie sheet if you like. I just kind of separated them about a ½ inch to an inch apart so that they don't grow together. These are going in our preheated 400-degree oven for approximately 15 to 17 minutes. I always put it on 15 minutes, check it then. I don't want them to be overcooked because then they're just not as good. They're too dry. So time it at 15 minutes, and then if you need that additional 2 minutes, you can go ahead and add that. So they're going in the oven, and the next thing we're going to get to is that yummy, delicious vanilla bean icing. Let's get going on this delicious icing. Now, icing is not one of those things you really have to measure. It's kind of eyeing it and knowing about how much you want to make. So I am going to use approximately a ½ cup to 3/4 of a cup of confectioner's powdered sugar. Then I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste, and I prefer this over the flavor of vanilla. It's the Madagascar Bourbon Vanilla Bean Paste. You can find that at different stores. Sometimes stores like Ross, TJ Maxx have it, and then I have found also that Michael's has it. All right, and then we're going to take some heavy cream. Now you can substitute this for milk or half and half, or if you want a non-dairy creamer, you can use like your store-bought non-dairy creamers. I'm going to use some heavy cream, make it extra good. I'm going to start with approximately 1 tablespoon of cream to my powdered sugar and vanilla, and then all you want to do is take that and mix it with a fork or spoon. And you want to mix kind of gently and slowly because you don't want the powdered sugar to go everywhere. So we're going to go ahead and mix that all up. And then you can see that it's starting to thicken and come together. Now I don't want it too runny, but I don't want it super thick either. So I can see already that I need to add a little bit more cream. So I'm going to add about another teaspoon of cream to this. Now, if it gets too loose, add more powdered sugar. If it's too thick, add more cream. That's the trick to it. You can also add some grated orange zest to this if you want to. Make it kind of citrusy on top of that pumpkin, depending on what you're mixing it with. Okay, so you can see that it's starting to thicken up. That's almost a perfect consistency right there for me. I may add just a tad bit more cream. Once you put this on the hot scones, it's going to spread all over, and you can see the little specks, let me get it mixed up a little bit, of the vanilla bean in there, which makes it extra yummy. Alright, so that's about the consistency I want. You can see where it just kind of flows off the fork. It's not thick, but it's not super, super runny. That's about what I want. So this is set to go for when those scones come out of the oven. Now, if you want more than just a little drizzle over your scones, you can make about double that amount if you like to have it a little bit thicker. So let's set this aside, and when those scones come out of the oven, we're gonna go ahead and frost them, and I'm gonna have them ready to take to work today. Okay, so I just pulled these out of the oven. They took the full 17 minutes. Now, normally, my scones do not spread out this far. So what this tells me, I went ahead and decided to put this in the video instead of making a new one and not showing you the mistakes that can happen along the way. This is a result of having too much liquid in my scone batter. So I would reduce that liquid down by a quarter. So reduce your cream down a quarter of a cup, and reduce the liquid down the water down about 1/8 of a cup, and that will help prevent some of this loose batter. That's basically all that is. It's the reason that everything kind of just blended together. You can still see the lines, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut where the lines are just with the back of a spatula or the top of a spatula. And that just prevents it so that when I put that icing on, I know where the separate scones are. Now, these are not a complete loss. They're still going to be absolutely delicious. And they're just a little bit more spread out than normal. So I'm going to continue to separate these, just like so. I think that's just one. It's just one large one. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take that icing, and I'm just going to drizzle it while these are in the baking sheet. One thing you could also do that I usually do, and I don't know why I didn't think of it this time, is I put parchment paper underneath, and then that prevents, everything scorching to the pan or sticking to the pan, less cleanup. But I did not do that this time, so I'm just going to kind of spread this on, and I just kind of do it while they're still warm and out of the oven. That way it kind of spreads really thin, and it just gives you a nice light layer of glaze on your scone. So I'm going to continue icing these, and then I'm going to let them set up a little bit, which basically means cool, and let that icing set. And then I'll put some on a plate, and I'll let you see what they look like. Alright, so here they are. I just put a few on a plate for you. I went ahead and cut this one in half so you could see what the inside of it looks like. You can see where the ingredients are a little bit too wet. So like I said, reduce that liquid that I gave you in the beginning and you should be good to go. They are, however, extremely delicious. I've already broken into them, and I've been eating a piece over here. and it's really yummy. So you got to try this. Make any adjustments, feel free to tell me the adjustments you made and how they turned out, because I love to learn myself. I hope you enjoy this video as I'm chewing. Hope you can join me again. Until next time, next video, have a wonderful day, everyone. God bless.